Sid, also a tough day for completely and utterly different reasons for Canadian football fans.
There will be no 2020 season. This was a story that lasted for months. We didn't know which way it was going to fall. The axe came down yesterday. Randy Ambrosie is the commissioner of the CFL. Randy joins us right now. Unfortunately, not under better circumstances here. Randy, how are you holding up? How are things?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I'm especially disappointed today for our players, who I know we're looking forward to getting back on the field. And of course, all of these great young men have lives and families, and I was really hoping to have a season for them and for our fans, but it didn't work out the way we wanted. But we'll have to soldier on.
Yesterday, I was thinking about the fans, and I was thinking about all the fine people who work for all of the franchises in the Canadian Football League. Randy, knowing what you know now, and hindsight is 2020, especially in these times because things change so quickly. But knowing what you know now, would you have gone about it differently from the get-go with the federal government if you could go back?
Well, look, there's always things that you could do differently or better. When we went to government originally, and I do think this was a bit of a defining moment. What we were advised to do was to go at them with the biggest picture of how much potential damage COVID would do over 2 years, and that's the now famous or infamous $150 million, which by the way, we never asked for $150 million, because our ask behind that was really broken into phases, and it started with $30 million, which is what we said we would kind of need to get a season started. And in the end, it turned out that was the amount of money we were really talking to them about. But if I could go back, I would have started there. I think we perhaps overstated this kind of big idea that we needed that we threw out that number, and that number caused an awful lot of disruption for us. And I regret following that particular advice, because I think we could have done far better by coming in, not so much that 2-year view, but maybe just focusing on 2020. So that's one thing I'd have done differently. The other, obviously, we had never at any point did we want to disrespect our players, but boy, we felt like we needed to get to government quickly and talk about the potential damage that COVID would bring to the league. And boy, that's the other thing that I wish we would have just talked to the players right up front about going to the government for financial support. And that, of course, caused us some. Those probably are the two things that stand out in my mind that I wish were handled differently. Again, boy, the COVID virus just hit us so hard and so quickly. We were in a hurry, and I think we would have been better served by slowing down a little bit.
Randy Ambrosie is the CFL Commissioner. Yesterday it became official. There will be no 2020 season. Randy has been kind enough to join us here on Tim and Sid. Randy, I'm not privy to your books, so forgive my ignorance on this. But why was it not feasible if $30 million was an important number for your league? Why couldn't all your franchises split $30 million?
Well, the fact is that that's not the whole story. And the fact is, in order for us to play, the teams were already going to have to put in millions of dollars worth of funding to play. So it's not that $30 million was the amount of money that our owners were going to have to contribute. Our owners were in for well more than $30 million to have a 2020 season. It was that amount of money was the part that we thought it was a fair ask of government to help us get back on the field this year. And as you have now heard, we talked to the government about a loan, which again, we said that from the very outset, that we didn't expect or want to hand out. Just some kind of a loan with a longer term repayment on fair terms would have been enough to help us bridge. So the specific answer is our owners were already in for a lot of money in order to stage the 2020 season. We went to government to ask for them to create a bridge to help us with the rest of what we would have needed to have a season.
So if we're getting this right, you would have lost even more money with a bubbled season?
Yes.
Did
significantly more.
Did that contribute to the sinking of the season?
Well, look, obviously one of our challenges that's different than, a lot of our major sport partners is that we rely so heavily on gate revenue to drive our league. So, we're disproportionately driven by gate revenue. And that in part is because we don't have a big, U.S. TV contract or a big global TV contract. So that's the biggest thing is our revenue model was compromised. And without that gate revenue, we were going to suffer significant losses going into whatever kind of season we were going to have. And again, so, when we were asked by the Minister of Heritage to come back to them, we explained all of this in a call that we had with the Minister of Heritage and all of the sports ministers from across the country. And I just laid it out, what the business model looked like. And he asked us for a proposal. He was very generous in asking, and suggesting that the federal government would like to help and asking us for proposal. And in the end, it just didn't work out, and obviously ended in disappointment.
So Randy, then listen, you're dealing with a beauty school dropout over here. So if you guys don't play this season, does it make you more confident that all 9 teams can survive whatever this COVID will look like from 2020 beyond?
Well, look, right from the very beginning, what we said, and there were several teams that really were more in favor of focusing on a reset, to looking at how do we rebuild a bigger support structure in our major markets. And I think what we're going to do now is really focus on that. How do we get into some of these communities in our biggest cities, Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal? How do we take a lesson from what Larry Smith did in Montreal, when he reinvented the Alouettes and created one of the greatest successes in our league's history by really reaching into those communities? So look, if I have confidence on behalf of our teams, is that I think we've got some good work ahead of us that we can use this time to really, as they say, is we spend so much time working in the business, you don't spend enough time working on it. I think this is our opportunity now to work on our business. We can do a lot more to help build a business model where we share resources better, where we're more mindful of how do we help our weaker teams get stronger. And I think there's a real willingness at the Board of Governors table to have that conversation. So this period of time doesn't have to be negative for us. It's obviously negative for the fact that our players wanted to play and our fans wanted to watch our games. But it doesn't have to be negative in the broader context, because we can use this time to really reset and face 2021 on a much stronger platform.
Randy Ambrosie, CFL Commissioner here on Tim and Sid. So, Randy, if I'm a player in your league with NFL camps going on south of the border and no preseason games, these camps are going to be the focal point. Can I find work down there?
Well, in fact, there was a meeting between ourselves and the players this afternoon. I'm actually just waiting for an update from CFL General Counsel Stephen Shammy, which I'll get sometime early this evening on how those discussions went. But we are going to work with our players and to the best of our ability, try to find an accommodation for players that would want to play. But I know this was an item specifically on the agenda today. I don't know how those discussions went, but I think there's clearly a desire on our part, to the best of our ability. We want to maintain our rosters because we've got these great players. But I think where it makes sense, we'll try to make accommodations.
Now, you're a former player. You understand the ask of the players, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. In fact, this is the thing we've been talking about now over since yesterday's announcement. But this is a time for us to try to build a stronger partnership with the players. And, sometimes you don't agree on things and that's the very nature of collective bargaining. But at the same time, you got to step back, and that's one of the things I want to do is be able to apply my own personal experiences and think about how I would have felt back in my day had this affected us, and I'm going to try to bring my own sensibilities to the fore here, and try to the best of our ability to build a really strong relationship and a partnership with our players going forward.
Randy Ambrosie here on Tim and Sid. I'm hearing you, Randy, talk about kind of making traction in the big cities and the partnership with the players. I'm hearing all of that, but my biggest fear in whether it's business or even me individually as an egotistical broadcaster is out of sight, out of mind. Like the Whitecaps and TFC are playing a game tonight. I mean, the Canadian Premier League are playing in PEI. CEBL just completed their season. I mean, this is obviously not a good look. And Randy, flat out, I got to ask you: do you have the support of your board? Are you confident you're going to stay commissioner of this league?
Well, look, I serve at the pleasure of the board, and so far I don't have any reason to doubt that I will continue in this role. But I will ultimately respect whatever decision they would make in that regard. But when I got up this morning, right now in the moment, I'm the commissioner of this league, and I have a commitment to doing everything I can do to take us to the best place I possibly can. And if that changes, that will change. But the fact is, and I'm offering to through my own lens. If I go back to Calgary last year, one of our best Grey Cups ever, and then we got an ownership deal struck with Gary and Sid to take over the Alouettes. Going into January, we were literally facing this amazing opportunity to take this league to the next level. And then we got hit by the COVID virus. So while I accept that this has been a very tough period, I didn't invent the COVID virus. I don't have a laboratory in my home where I created COVID. We certainly have struggled at times during this crisis, but it is a crisis that's affecting businesses all around the world who, through no fault of their own, have been negatively affected. But again, to your point, look, if the governors, if that was the will of the governors that somebody else will lead them into the future, I would give that person my full-throated support, because in the end, I love this league. And while I am enormously proud of everything that we've accomplished in the time I've been commissioner, I would concede this virus has been terrible for us. And could I have done some things better? Sure, I could. Look, we're watching on the world stage today. We're watching a leader who accepts no responsibility for anything other than just the good things. I won't be that guy. I just will not play that card ever. So if there's a reason or a feeling that we have things that didn't go the way they should, and there's blame to be laid, it has to come to me. That is the responsibility that I bear.
Listen, this isn't a today thing or a you thing. I've been saying for a couple months now that this is a remarkably tough time to be in leadership for a variety of reasons. And we know that you have a passion for the game, just like we have a passion for the Canadian variety of the game. The last one I'll just ask you is, do you worry about the long-term future of a league that you have so much passion for, considering what you have seen it go through over the last couple months?
Well, look, you can't deny this has been tough for us, but guys, I don't think I'm being Pollyanna when I look at the opportunity that's in front of us. I still think that we can play a major role in the global effort to make football more of a global game. If you saw the messages I got from around our Alliance of Gridiron Football over the course of the last 24 hours, you would know that there's a tremendous passion for the leadership the CFL is showing. I think it's a way to help us crack into these big markets. I really believe we were on the doorstep of doing something special, but you can't deny that this virus has knocked us to our knees. And all I can hope is that, there's really smart people out there who are going to, either create a treatment or a vaccine that will allow all of us, businesses of every description, to get back to what we love to do. And there's a lot riding on that, not just for the CFL, but for businesses of all types that, we want to get back to where we were and maybe beyond. But look, do I worry? Sure I do. But I also see tremendous opportunity in what and the path that we were on, and we'll make some adjustments, I'm sure. But I still really believe in what this league stands for. I think it's an important part of Canadian culture, but I also believe it can be bigger and stronger than it's ever been. And I'm committed to leading that until somebody tells me otherwise. And I woke up this morning with a sense of optimism, and I'll go to bed tonight with that same optimism.
Randy, we obviously Sportsnet's not a rights holder for you, but you've always been extremely kind with your time when it comes to us and this network, and we really, really appreciate it. We never take it for granted. Stay safe, and let's talk again soon. Thank you, Randy.
Absolutely. Best wishes to both of you.